It is, I say just, it's still a really powerful storm, but it is a thunderstorm warning at this point. So the Knox County storm is on its way into Howard right now, and it has the potential to produce 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail, so about 1-inch size hail. That's sort of that's the criteria for calling it a severe storm. So 1-inch hail is one of the criteria, and that 60-mile-per-hour wind gust is right in there as well.
It's moving at 60 miles per hour.
And it's moving at 60 miles per hour. So as this makes its way east, that is still moving very, very quickly, and it's likely generating its own outdrafts right now. So its potential, it's capable of producing a tornado. It's moving to the east at 60 miles per hour. So the concern here is flying debris that can be pushed along by those very strong winds. And the light show that goes with this, the lightning is really incredible. So I've always kind of been fascinated by the heat of that lightning and what it can do. You've seen what happens when lightning hits a tree. It can literally make the tree explode because you're superheating the materials in the tree, and some of those cells explode, and some of the heat just pushes all of that. It superheats the water and pushes all of the pieces apart. So that's why the tree explodes. But that's about 10,000 degrees. So it's literally as hot or hotter than the surface of the sun, just for a fraction of a second. But it's enough to do that kind of damage, and it's also what causes the thunder because it superheats the air around it, creates the shock wave, and our eardrums hear that shock wave as thunder. So all of that moving to the east at about 60 miles per hour, the potential for 1-inch hail. It's on the backside of Mount Vernon, so Mount Vernon is now outside of the tornado warning polygon. They've pared that back, and this is headed toward the east, toward Newcastle, and then headed over into western Coshocton County. Zooming out a little bit, because this is not the only storm that's out there. We still have lots of storms to deal with, and they are just about to get into the Columbus metro area. So you can see here, it's starting to get some heavy rain in Delaware. Not as much lightning as before, but that is still sinking down toward the Columbus metro area. The Bellefontaine area, parts of Logan County. So Indian Lake just had a thunderstorm warning that's been allowed to expire now. The Bellefontaine area is still covered by a thunderstorm warning, and you may see that moving into a little bit of Union County. Some lightning strikes near Marysville right now, some big booming thunder there. Heavy rain from Marion on over into almost Morrow County, all of that tracking to the east.
And Marshall, just quickly, since you mentioned Morrow County, we're starting to get some reports of some power outage in Morrow County right now as well, too.
Not going to be a surprise. Wouldn't be surprised to find out that they've, at the very least, had some very strong straight line winds happening there. But this is the remnants of the tornado warning still in effect for parts of Knox County, east of Mount Vernon, but Mount Vernon still can get some very large hail. Some of that into Howard, and north of that may also have some large hail. The white and sort of the gray that you see here on the map is that large hail core happening there. Let's bisect this one. Let's see what we're looking at here, because we can take a look at how big this storm is by running right through here. There it is. So let's move that down this way so you can actually see a little bit better of what it looks like. That's still going 30,000 feet. You've got a hail core, that's the purple right here, and that's getting to about 15,000 feet. So that's still enough to produce at least some bigger than pea-sized, more likely not quite an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch hail happening right there, not far from Newcastle. And then the top of the storm is still above 30,000 feet. This is all ice up in this direction. So that updraft is just cranking right up through the middle of that storm and pushing it all the way up to about 30,000 feet and more. So a big storm happening, and that updraft is part of what is creating the potential for strong to severe storms. Let me show you Columbus again. So here's Columbus with a little bit of rain happening now. Can we take a look at tower cam real quick? let's see if we've got some rain showing up there yet, or if some of this is maybe just a little bit of very light rain. So we're seeing some of that on tower cam right now. It's not heavy rain yet, but that is coming in a little bit. So the heaviest rain is with this storm out here east of Mount Vernon right now, where there's still the tornado warning there, but all of this tracking a little farther south. So lots of lightning happening out here toward Marysville, east of Bellefontaine into Marysville and parts of central Union County, and that is also tracking to the east.
And let's remember, there's a danger with the lightning as well. This is cloud to ground lightning.
Yep.
It can't just take down a tree. It could strike your house, and we typically do see one or two of those
fires. Yep.
When we see this much lightning.
So that is another reason why, as these storms come through, we've really got to pay attention for not just the hail and the gusty winds, but even, as Jen mentioned, the lightning itself can be dangerous if it ends up, even in the last few storms.
Yeah.
We've seen lightning hitting houses.
There
we
was
saw it hit the east.
one in Delaware County from the last storm.
Hit the East
on
Market.
Sunday. East Market.
East
as
Market
well.
had some damage right here in Columbus. These storms, and a lot of times you'll hear people talk about some of the local mythology that says, oh, well, storms like that don't come across this cemetery, this road, this hillside, this way. Yeah, they do. It's just that maybe we've been lucky over the years and haven't had a tornado in that particular location. But those storms are way up above us, and they're not always affected by the topography, especially if it's something, and I know it may not seem like that river is small, but compared to some of these storms, it's really not that big an influence. But it's still going to become part of that mythology in some cases. So they are not, it doesn't seem like they're going to expand this tornado warning.
I haven't seen a note about it, and it is starting to work its way across that county line right now.
So as this storm makes its way into Coshocton County, there is a good chance that they will pare back this tornado warning a little bit more. So in Newcastle, you still want to be very weather aware, because we could still get this just very heavy downpours and the potential for some large hail out of this. The tornado warning, wouldn't be surprised to see them allow that to expire in the next few minutes. But as we get into the later part of the evening, we could see some of these redevelop a little bit, and that could still be an issue for us moving forward. Now, this is going to take most of the evening for this to move through. So we are going to stay weather aware. Even as this tornado warning expires in the next 10 minutes, we are still going to need to be weather aware as the rest of this system moves farther south. You see in Coshocton, there is still this severe thunderstorm warning. So Coshocton, Guernsey, Muskingum, Tuscarawas counties, 1.25 inch sized hail possible. The only difference, really, between this one with the tornado warning and this one with the severe thunderstorm warning is that this one has rotation at the moment. If the rotation continues to move to the east, then this will turn into a tornado warning. But if that rotation falls apart or becomes broad enough that it's less of an issue, then they'll let that expire, and that'll be the end of that particular warning. So we are still looking at the potential during the evening of some damage happening in at least the Columbus metro area as these storms come through. Let's see, what do we have here? There's some, so we do get storm reports as this comes through, and some of them may be a little specious, but you get a sense of some of what's happening out there. So there's a public report of 1 inch hail in parts of Richland County, Knox County with some 1 inch hail possible there. But what we're looking at is more straight line winds happening in a lot of these places. Galleon had nickel-sized hail, so a little bit bigger than 3/4 inch there. And again, these will have to all be confirmed by the National Weather Service, and eventually they go into the big database. But once they're confirmed, but in the meantime, we're getting some of those reports coming in.
I've got some rain estimates for you too, along just that line where this storm has traveled. Anywhere from about 3/4 inch to 1.25 inches of rainfall. And that's just from this one storm. There's another line behind it. Let's remember that.
Let me go 3-hour precip right here. Let's see if it'll load. There it is. So there you can see part of what's happening, 1 to 2 inches worth of rain in the last 3 hours, and that's going to be for some of the Bucyrus and Marion area, on over into Mount Gilead, parts of Richland County here, northern Mount Vernon. Now, some of this may not include what's happening right this moment. So you may see some of these rainfall totals go up a little bit as we get toward the end of the event. But for now, a lot of that is just some really heavy rain. Could get some flooding out of this. So another reason to be mindful of that. But there's your tornado warning in effect until 9:30 tonight. If you are in Newcastle, you still want to take cover right now. Wait until this is long expired or the storm has long passed before you come out of your safe space. So if that's your basement, that's a good spot. Go to the middle of the house, the middle of the basement. Sometimes you can get under a staircase. If that's in the middle of your basement, that's a good place to be. If you don't have a basement, then as far to the interior of the house as you can possibly be. You hear us talk about this ad nauseum, but those are the recommendations for being safe. We used to have a recommendation if you were in your car to get out of the car and get into a ditch. And they've changed that recommendation in the last couple of years to say at least get off of the road. Oh, there's a little thunder here. We just heard that here at ABC 6 on Dublin Road. You can actually hear some thunder here now. But the recommendation for your car now is pull over, keep your seatbelt on, and stay in the car, because it may be a little safer and you're a little more protected just by being in the car if there is debris flying around the area. So as this storm crosses the county line, headed into Coshocton County, a lot of lightning with that, but less of a threat of tornadoes with this. The rotation has tapered off enough. It looks like they're going to allow that to expire.
Yeah, Cleveland said that that is going to expire, but let's remember it's moving into a different National Weather Service office.
Good point. So bearing in mind that our viewing area, and well, Ohio for that matter, Ohio is covered by 5 different National Weather Service offices. It takes 5 offices to keep track of all of this. So around the Columbus area, the northern part is watched by Cleveland, the eastern part is watched by Pittsburgh, the southeastern part is watched by Charleston. Then we've got Wilmington keeping an eye on a lot of central Ohio and southwestern Ohio. Indy doesn't quite make it into Ohio, but we watch what's coming from there just because what's to our west usually is coming here. And northern Indiana also keeping an eye on that just because they do have some of our northwest Ohio counties, but what's up there often comes our way as well. Columbus, a little bit of thunder out there at the moment. We heard some here just a few minutes ago, and we still have all of this rain to push through here. Good news is that our friends at the National Weather Service office in Cleveland are saying they're going to let this tornado warning expire, especially since most of the storm has already moved out of the polygon. So in western Coshocton County right now, very heavy rain happening. Large hail is going to be possible with that in the next 20 minutes or so. And you've got all this lightning to deal with as well. These storms have slowed down a little bit. They were moving at about 80 miles per hour.
Not only that, but they're seeing less rainfall and less hail with them as well.
All of that is good news.
Yeah.
So that means that we're seeing some weakening in these storms. Let me change some numbers here in our software, and I can show you where this is headed this direction. There we go there. All right, so from Coshocton, you're looking at 9:34. You've got a little bit of time yet. So far, they've not extended the tornado warning into Coshocton County. They're going to let that expire in just the next few minutes. But Newcomerstown, Dresden, West Lafayette, all in line for these storms as they come through with very heavy rain, the chance for some large hail, and we're not going to rule out this trying to spin back up again. So as these storms move through, it's still a possibility. Jen?
I just said we'll be paying attention to
Yes.
it, yeah.
We will definitely be keeping an eye on all of these. So there's more of that thunder right here in Columbus. Let's see if we can see the actual lightning. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, there's the lightning
In
strike
fact,
right there.
it's almost right over our building. So downtown Columbus, and there's one lightning strike that shows up there. And you can see on tower cam, we're getting a little bit of rain already happening there. So rain happening across the metro area. Heavier rain is still on the way. And the bigger storms are still off to the north, and that will continue to push down toward this direction.
Hey,
so,
just to let you know, I have a note from Pittsburgh that they are looking at a weak area of rotation with that storm that's moving into Coshocton right now.
Well, isn't that special? So this is why we were saying a few minutes ago, in Newcastle, get to your safe space. If you are in the Clark Township area, get ready for that. Coshocton, be ready, because it's entirely possible. Coshocton County is part of the Pittsburgh warning area. So if they decide to issue a tornado warning, Coshocton could be part of that. So this is, again, why we're keeping an eye on these. We're not going to let it go, because there is a good chance that Pittsburgh may pick up on that. And if they issue a new tornado warning, that would extend into Coshocton and Newcomerstown and potentially out toward Kimballton. So this is why even Dresden is included in this in northern Muskingum County. So make sure you're ready for this as it comes through, with the potential for large hail, and not going to rule out the chance of rotation. It's entirely possible. We haven't seen a warning on it yet, but as Jen mentioned, Pittsburgh's keeping a close eye on it, and they'll be the ones who decide whether to issue that warning. In the meantime, this warning for parts of Knox County scheduled to expire in about a minute or so. And as long as they let that go, that would be fantastic. It means that there'd be some weakening in the system. But for now, we're still keeping an eye on this one in just the western parts of Coshocton County. In the city of Coshocton, you're probably seeing that lightning. You might even be hearing the thunder by now. The thunder usually attenuates by about 5 miles or so. So sometimes you'll see the lightning, but you won't hear the thunder. We often call that heat lightning, which is a complete misnomer, because it has nothing to do with the heat. It's just that the sound has fallen apart before it gets to you, but you still see the light. So the lightning is still happening. You may or may not be hearing it yet in Coshocton, but you will in the next few minutes.
And Marshall, I just want to update you about some power outages. We have about 1,000 customers in Mount Vernon without power right now.
That absolutely makes sense, because that storm that just came through there, and we saw some of that video it was just raining sideways in Knox County. So that is likely to have caused at least some tree branches to come down. So you may have some power outages because of that. Look at the rain happening there, and you can see when the raindrops get into that light, some of those are literally going sideways. So the wind is still very strong with a lot of those. There goes the tornado warning. It has expired at this point. They have not reissued that in Coshocton County. However, Coshocton County still has that same cell that showed rotation earlier. So make sure you're ready. If that warning gets issued even in the next few minutes, you're ready to go to your safe space. Columbus itself, not covered by warnings right now, but is included in the tornado watch that does cover a lot of central Ohio, and in fact gets us all the way down into Circleville, and that's going to last until at least 11 o'clock tonight. They may let some of that go later on, but for now, the yellow is the tornado watch until 11 o'clock, and the warnings, including Coshocton and parts of Guernsey and Tuscarawas counties, a little bit of Muskingum County, that is going to last until 9:45 tonight. We're going to get you back to programming for a few minutes. If we get that tornado warning popping up, we'll let you know in just a little bit. That makes sense.